Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Beyond GPT, the next wave of AI for nonprofits. We're very excited to welcome Howard Levy of Red Rooster Group. He's going to show you some really cool things that you can do with AI. Our team was very impressed when he was showing us, so I'm excited for you guys to see him. First, a quick Charity Engine commercial in case you're new here. We offer, now will you scroll? Or will you advance? Thank you. We offer a unified fundraising platform that is built just for nonprofits. By unified, we mean all the tools and data live under one roof. So at any point, you have a complete view of your donors in real time. You can pull comprehensive board reports that pull from every single interaction your donors have had with your nonprofit. And it makes donor engagement and fundraising a lot easier when your data and tools are not siloed. And we have a special offer for anyone joining live today. Howard's going to talk about how AI can help lift fundraising, which is something we talk about often. It's one of several tools you can use to increase revenue relatively quickly. We've put together a short, free revenue assessment in which our experts will take a look at the state of your systems and offer suggestions you can implement immediately to automate tasks, shore up leaky revenue, and smooth out your donor experience. This is not a sales pitch. It's literally just something helpful that we do for nonprofits to help you increase fundraising and improve donor engagement. Tends to be very popular, and we have a limited staff to do it. So we've only got 5 spots. Now I just put the link in the chat. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat there, and we will get to them at the end. And that is it from me until we get to the Q&A. So I'll hand it over to you, Howard.
Terrific. Thank you. Oh. All right. Well, I'm glad to be here. I'll introduce myself as president of Red Rooster Group. We're a fundraising, branding, and marketing agency for nonprofits. And I've been around for 30 years helping organizations achieve excellent results with their fundraising and craft new brand strategies for greater awareness and reach audiences, and just an ally for nonprofits. That's my personal mission, is to help organizations to achieve their best. That's why I started Red Rooster Group 30 years ago, to help nonprofits wake up their brand and wake up their audiences, because I think that nonprofits are doing the most valuable work in society. We have businesses, government, and nonprofits, and it's just such an undervalued and underappreciated sector. And so I've dedicated my life to helping organizations to get out there and tell their story and galvanize support. Speaking at conferences, writing guides and books. I created an actionology methodology for fundraising and advocating for nonprofits and funding at the state level and the federal level. So I'm glad to be able to share my insights, and I invite questions. There's a chat on the side, so please put them in there. We'll get to them at the end. I'll try to keep an eye on some, but probably we'll get to all the questions at the end. Let's kind of jump in. The last 4 years, I've been dabbling in exploring, I should say, very deeply, AI, and I want to share what I've learned. And so here's what I hope that you can take out of this session. First is to understand that there's a gap in how nonprofits are using AI currently, and I'll go into that and help you try to close the gap a bit. I want you to see how other organizations are using AI, because maybe you're exploring ChatGPT, you have used some of the tools, but from the organizational perspective, not fully taking advantage. So I want to give you some models for what other organizations are doing. And then I want to share some tools, some interesting interactive things that we've been doing with a video chatbot, a video interviewer, some personalized AI video AI videos, things like that. And I want to show you how to pull all these things together in a workflow. So I'm going to show kind of a sample workflow as a teaser of what can be. And the last thing is really to help prompt your thinking on how to appreciate the value of AI for your organization as a whole, so you can have a greater impact, not just personally with more productivity, but as an organization and having a real impact on your mission. And that's, to me, what this is all about. So let's dive in here. I'm going to start with feelings, because we have a lot of mixed emotions about AI. maybe when I first started, it's very trepidatious. I saw the horrors, that were happening, and there's a lot of negative things that can happen. And then I started experimenting very deeply, and I've gotten to a state of both excitement about the possibilities, but also um, some bit of horror about the societal impact. So I don't want to kind of whitewash any of that. I'm not going to really get into that in this session because I want to show the value, but I do recognize from the societal level, from there are privacy concerns, from ethical, issues, what it's doing to truth and blurring the lines with fake videos, to environmental concerns of the data centers. This is not a problem-free area, and you're right to have concerns and to tread cautiously. But I want to focus, and if you have specific questions, I guess you could ask, but I want this session to focus on the possibilities. So we are in a transformational era. I do believe the cat is out of the bag. There is no ostrich putting its head down into the sand and kind of ignoring the fact that AI is here. But we do need to look at how we could harness this in a positive way. I do think that it is going to be a seismic shift in how the economy is run, how businesses are run, and how with agentic AI actually going out and performing actions on behalf of people, and now newer systems being set up in order to take advantage of those, there is a real seismic shift. So I just want, we should be aware of that and figure out like how we adapt appropriately without giving up our humanity, and pushing back in the appropriate ways for more regulation for within your organization, and all the other things needed to maintain a semblance of humanity. So it's been said that AI won't replace your job. People using AI will. That's partially true. Some people will lose their jobs. That's already happening. But certainly people who can understand how to tap into AI and understand it are more likely to fare better in the economy. We'll be ahead of the curve. All right. Thank you, Julie. Yes. All right. So I did a quick poll to see your general knowledge, so I kind of understand who I'm speaking to. If you don't mind putting into the chat a rating of 1 through 5 for your current usage of AI. And you could kind of interpret these loosely. I know using AI regularly, whether it's weekly or whatever, but just want to kind of get a sense of people's level of familiarity. That's great. Some 1s, some 2s. There was a 4.5, 3.5. A lot of 2s. Okay. All right, so of a mixed bag. All right, and the people who are, I see. Sorry, these scroll by me. Christie's a 3.5. That's great, and Matthew 4.5. If people have questions and you can answer as well, please jump in. Anyone, in fact, can answer them. But this is a forum for sharing ideas as well. So thank you. Welcome to the new world. This is, I like this photo because it shows kind of the golden glamorous promise of AI, which often tends to not be true. We have a lot of promises of technology that do not come true, and that certainly is true in many cases with AI. And I like the darkness, that there is certainly a level of caution, needed as we enter this brave new world. Here's kind of the state of what's happening. This chart shows the rate of adoption of different types of technologies over time. So you see electric power from when it was introduced early in the 1900s till it reached everyone after the Rural Electrification Act, 50 years or so. Automobiles, refrigerators, that's refrigerators, automobiles, color TV, 20 years. And this doesn't show the full adoption of AI, of ChatGPT in particular, but certainly now within 4 years of its launch, a good portion of society is actually using it and advancing way on to other tools. So a very high rate of adoption for newer technologies. So it is coming on very quickly. Here's what nonprofits are doing with it. Mostly donor communications and marketing, email, creative is all in 60%. some data analysis, but much less on the operations and internal automation. And this is where this gap starts to happen between people using AI for personal use versus using it for the benefit of the organization overall. And I'll get into that a little bit more. So, for example, this is according to this 2026 Nonprofit AI Adoption Report, 80% are using AI individually. So you're coming in, you're using ChatGPT or Claude or other things, but not creating repeatable workflows throughout the organization. And so what this means is that all that knowledge walks out the door when you walk out. It's not harnessed in a way that the organization overall can tap into it. And that's going to be particularly true for smaller organizations that don't have bigger teams to create the systems and may even be lacking the systems overall. So this gap between the potential of the technology and the use of the technology actually gets exacerbated by the individual use as opposed to it being used throughout the organization, right? So knowledge walks out, people solve the same problems independently. Those successful approaches aren't harnessed, and new staff have to start from scratch. And so all the learnings are lost to the organization. And ultimately, then the mission is not fully advanced. The functions are, but the actual solving of the problem that your organization was founded for is not. And so that's really like the key question, is how you could use AI to accomplish the mission in a new way, not just use it for your personal productivity, which is also good to do. But the impact is then lost. So 92% of the organizations in this survey were reporting that they're using AI, but only 7% were reporting that it was having a major impact for them. So being able to systemize it and harness it is going to be very important. So how are some nonprofits using AI to create impact? I have 6 examples, and this is from another report by Bridgespan. Is at Khan Academy, the training company. They built a personal AI trainer to support their teachers, their students and teachers who are planning, and that was helping the teachers to spend less time in planning. So even as an internal tool. An educational nonprofit in New York was creating trainings for its staff to reduce their staff time. And there's some great tools for doing that, as well as Tango. Synthesia and Tavis are good tools to use. You can create customized trainings using AI, and I'll show you a little bit of that. And New York City Charter School created a research assistant bot to answer questions, and so that's reducing the workload of staff to focus on more important things rather than just those mundane tasks. I'm going to show you an AI video chatbot in this session. A small workforce nonprofit created a custom resume generator to help their students. And so that's part of their operation now, as a part of a service. So they're using AI to actually help support the people who come to them for support. So looking at how you can, what are all the ways that your organization provides services? How can AI help to support or replace those, or improve or even reimagine them? A healthcare organization uses devices to transcribe conversations, so doctors could focus more on the actual conversation and not taking notes. Maybe you're already using that within your organization. There are many great tools, Fathom and Otter and others. Zoom are building stuff in now to take notes. But then using that in conjunction with something else to actually send the notes out, to socialize them throughout the organization, to put calendar reminders that emanate from the conversation already onto people's emails or their Google calendars. All those things could be automated. That's the next stage, is taking the tools and taking them to the next level. One of these. And a climate change foundation is using AI to assess incoming grants. They built a system to put in different criteria, and they're able to assess those grants and make better informed decisions. So most of these are operational. Some of them are hitting on programs. But I want to show you two organizations now that are using it in a more fundamental way to transform their organizations. So one of our clients is called Honest Reporting. They fight bias in the media. And this is a very manual intensive process. They would have to scan the newspapers, the media sources, look for different kinds of bias. They would write to the newspapers and try to get them to put corrections in. Now they've created an AI system that scans 150 media in real time against 100 different kinds of biases. It flags those, it escalates them by ranking a priority, it indicates the different kinds of bias that is found in it, and it provides then next step actions for them to take action on. So there's still total manual review, but it is helping with all of the aggregation. What this is doing, though, is now creating reports. So not only can they see which papers or media sources are more biased and in which ways, but they're able to see those flow of bias through time. So as certain media events happen, which narratives start to get picked up. Now, this is the important part. When the narratives are starting to get picked up, they are now able to tap into that sooner and able to intercede before they spread. So this puts them in a total shift from being reactive to news to being proactive. Now they're at the foot of it, stemming the negative flow of information before it gets out there. So there's a huge difference in the way that they operate and even in their mission. And so that's something that you should be looking at. You can be looking at is how do we, if we had unlimited potential, how could we flip a paradigm on our mission to use AI in a way that would allow us to do something that we had not thought of before, or we could not approach the problem in the same way before. Here's another client that went from a reactive to proactive. The United Hatzalah provides a free EMS service in Israel. They show up, anyone who calls, without any charge. They reinvented emergency medical services by having volunteers, trained medics all over the country who can reach people quicker than having ambulances get through traffic. Now they're using AI to analyze. They analyzed 18,000 calls, maybe it's more than that. 18 years of calls, and they get 2,000 calls a day. So they took 18 years of data, and now they're able to predict with a 90% accuracy within the major cities where they're likely to get a call from. So they're able to position their medics at potentially vulnerable spots to get there quicker to help people and save lives. So this is a huge shift that's enabling them to accomplish their mission of saving lives in a fundamentally different way. So let's take a look at, okay, see if there's no questions coming in. All right, let's take a look at some tools. I want to share with you an AI video interviewer, an AI video chatbot, some personalized videos, an example of an automated workflow. So our client, Job Train, is a job training organization. They're in Northern California, and they provide free 8-week courses in being a medical assistant, in construction, in culinary arts, property management, and other areas. So we want to tell those success stories, but when it comes time for the newsletters, we're asking, where do we get the success stories? And it's very anecdotal. We're scrambling around. Who do you know? Who can we ask? Let's ask the teachers who might be good. Your organization might be experiencing something like that. So in the interest of creating more automation, we did interviews. We record them on Zoom. We created a prompt that turns the interviews into different kinds of stories. So that's terrific, but we wondered, how could we automate this even further and do this without human intervention, so we can gather way more stories on a regular basis and have a full pipeline of stories to tell. So we created an AI interface. I'm going to show that to you in a moment, that could do an interview with someone and then take that and turn that into different forms of stories: long form, short form, third person, whatever we wanted to do. Testimonials that could be useful for marketing the program, testimonials for donors, and also impact information for grant proposals. It populates a database, so they have an ongoing record of stories. So now I am going to share my screen and jump to this interface. Share screen. Okay. I'm going to join. Oh, that is not good.
Hi there, I'm Charlie. Thanks for your time, for sharing your story about JobTrain. Let's begin. Please share and spell your name clearly.
My name is Howard Levy, HOWARD, LEVY.
Nice to meet you, Howard. Thank you for sharing. What program did you just graduate from, and where was it located?
The Culinary Arts program in Menlo Park.
Before we continue, if you're comfortable with us recording this conversation, taking notes, and using your story in our marketing and fundraising materials, please say,
I'm
I am
okay with
okay
that.
with that. Now, could you share a little about your life before JobTrain and what inspired you to enroll in the Culinary Arts
Yeah, I
program?
was struggling. I had a couple of different jobs. I really couldn't find steady employment, and I know I needed to do something. And someone said, getting into the restaurant business was a good pathway. And then they told me about JobTrain, so figured I'd give it a shot.
Thanks for sharing, Howard. It sounds like you were looking for more stable work and saw the restaurant path as a good option. How are you feeling about your life and your prospects at that point?
Wasn't so great. I knew I needed a change. I have a couple of kids, and really want to provide the best for them, and I want to be a good role model. So I knew I needed to make a change.
I hear that you felt a strong need to change for your kids. What moments during the program really stand out to you?
All right, I'm going to stop this now. And
I'm sorry to hear
then
you'd like to.
I'm going to close that up, and I am going to come back to. Oh, you stopped the share for me. Okay, thanks. So that's an example of the video interviewer. We set up the questions, and we created the interface to ask it to reflect back a little bit of emotional sensitivity. You could give it some parameters for how you'd like it to answer, and how you'd like the whole interview to proceed. So this is just one way of using this kind of interface. You can set up these type of AI avatars as video characters to do lots of different things. And this is a huge range of possibility. They're not, I will say, not perfect. You notice there are some lags and some gaps. We do identify it as AI, so they know they're not talking to a real person. We're now in what's called the uncanny valley, where things are like a little off. It's not quite human. You may have seen lots of videos that maybe are more human, but different technologies work differently, but they're all improving. This is really the worst that it's going to be. Things are just going to continually improve. And so There are lots of ways to use these. And yeah, all right, I'll show you. I'd like to, if you have any questions, put them in. I'll show you some other tools. This, by the way, is called Auto Story. You can see a little more on aiautostory.com if you're interested in that. One thing to note also is, like, it's another way of, in this case, it's another way of capturing impact, which is something that they hadn't done. They have hard metrics for how many people are going through enrolling in the programs, how many are completing, how many are getting jobs, even some on the average job wages. But in terms of the soft skills, how they're capturing people's sense of confidence, the transformation in their emotional journey. That's why those questions early on were asking a little bit about their before state. They're in a sense of despair. We brought them to a level of confidence. We want to understand what obstacles they faced and their barriers they've overcome, what kind of systemic hurdles they've overcome. We mapped out 8 different um, ways of measuring impact that they had not been capturing before. And the interview process allows us to capture those, not all of them for every person, but to start to aggregate things that would otherwise not be captured by the organization. And those could then be used for grant proposals or one-on-one donors or specific meetings to showcase specific ways that the organization's helping that are not evident just in the hard stats. So AI could be very useful for capturing impact or other things that you haven't been able to do otherwise. So here's another question from the marketing perspective. How do we encourage our prospects to enroll? So, right, they have a stream of people looking to get jobs. And from the fundraising side, how do we support donors in their decision to donate? So toward that end, we created what we call an AI admissions assistant, or a donor concierge. It's basically, I'm going to show that to you too. It's the same guy, Charlie, a video interface that's able to answer questions. He's able to share success stories, provide the encouragement for people to enroll, walk them through the next steps, answer the questions, and all of those kinds of things. So I will show that to you. I'll ask 2 questions, I think, just to give you a sense and not take up too much time here. All right, so now I go back to share. And we're going to, that, okay, we're on it. Hi there.
Hi. How can I help you today?
Well, could you just tell me really briefly what JobTrain does?
JobTrain is a workforce development nonprofit. They focus on empowering individuals, especially those facing various barriers, by providing comprehensive training and support. Their goal is to help people achieve economic mobility through skill development and connecting them with meaningful career opportunities.
Could you tell me, I understand you have a medical assistant program. Could you briefly tell me about that?
Certainly. The medical assistant program at JobTrain prepares students with essential skills for working in medical offices or clinics. The program covers medical terminology, billing, and coding. Students also learn how to take vital signs, give injections, perform venipunctures, and do electrocardiograms or ECGs. You'll also gain skills in dose calculations and metric conversions. Upon completing the program, students receive CPR certification and are prepared for work in doctor's offices, optometrist offices, and medical clinics.
All right, that sounds cool. Well, let me ask you this. Like, I understand your JobTrain is a nonprofit. Why should I support JobTrain?
Supporting JobTrain means you're helping to empower individuals facing economic and personal challenges to gain valuable skills and achieve career success. JobTrain not only provides comprehensive training programs, but also offers support services like job readiness training, childcare, and housing assistance. They focus on creating lasting economic mobility for underserved communities, and align with employers for direct job placements. Your support could change someone's life by giving them the opportunity for a sustainable career and financial independence.
All right, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you have any more questions or need further information, feel free to ask.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back. Thank you. So we built the backend database for this by aggregating information from JobTrain, their website, their documents, their annual reports, their newsletters, all the information we could find. We organize it in a cohesive way for the chatbot to read in separate documents with headings, with markup. And we built this in Tavis. And there are other systems to do this, and can be very useful. I'm going to show you some other use cases for this in a moment. So here's another tool that we created, and this is on the fundraising side. The question is, how do we encourage a first-time donor to give again? There's often a drop-off for many nonprofits after a first donation, and that's a big opportunity because ongoing support happens after second, third donation, but getting that second one is really critical. So we developed, we're trying to typically send an email, an acknowledgement email, and a letter. Hopefully, at least you do. We try to find a new way to break through to donors. So we created this personal video that was sent via email. So I'm going to show this sample of this video to you. Share screen over here. Okay.
Hey, Howard, just wanted to hop in quickly. I think you might be sharing the auto story and not the personalized video.
Oh, wow, that is weird. You didn't hear the auto story at all? I mean, the close the auto story bot there. Let's see if anything changes. Huh. All right, I'm going to hit share. Oh, okay. Okay, you're seeing that now?
To go. You can start playing.
You're seeing that? Okay, let me
Yep.
play. All right, so let me play that. Did you hear the video, or that was?
Nope, I think you just got to go back to
Okay.
the beginning.
All right, do that.
Hi, Kevin. Welcome to the JobTrain family. We're so excited to have you with us. Your generous gift of $500 to support our job training programs means so much. Because of you, more students will have access to hands-on education and career opportunities that can change their lives. At JobTrain, every new supporter like you helps us strengthen our mission to empower individuals through education, job skills, and career advancement. Together, we're helping people build more stable futures for themselves and their families. Thank you again, Kevin, for joining our community of changemakers. We're thrilled to have you on this journey with us, and we can't wait to share all the progress your support will make possible.
Okay. All right, so you can go back. All right. So so these were created at scale. You saw there are two customized fields: the name Kevin and the dollar amount, the $500. We took a list from the organization of the first-time donors, and we were able to map that to these videos, so the first name and the donation amount. You could do other variable data fields in these as well. So we set up so this shows these are saying Marsha and Jane and the other one. So we deployed these at scale. I think there were probably about 25 or so, maybe there were 40, I don't remember exactly, that we did for them. And we deployed them through an email. We also did this for May, so I'll show you this as well. But it had customization of the name, it had the video in it, and then the link goes to a separate page with just their video, so they're seeing their video. So you can do these with people. So you record yourself. We tried doing this with the ED. In this case, for our year cards, we did this. So this is not really me. It's an AI avatar of me. I filmed 2 minutes of video of me, and I had to do that multiple times. It was not easy, but then we take the script and we take the variable data fields, and then it creates all these videos. So I did about 100 videos, I think, to different audiences. I'll show that to you. It's not exactly, again, these are not exactly perfect. In this one, and it says I'm just the AI avatar. So I'm going to jump to that. Share. Okay, let's see. Are you seeing that? Yes, you are. Okay. I'm going to play this one.
Greetings, Alex. I'm Howard Levy, president of Red Rooster Group, and this is my AI avatar reaching out to you as the future of marketing communications. Alex, as associate director of digital media of BPC Action, are you finding that your audience
We lost the audio on that.
I'm sorry. You're not getting the audio? Yeah.
That's okay though. We saw enough of it to get
Okay.
that.
Okay. Fine. All right. We'll move on. So we'll disable. Go back. Okay. All right. So that one had variable data. If you had the name and it had the title of the organization and so forth. So this is kind of what workflow looks like. We used Zapier. That's kind of the interface to hold all these things together. There was the variable data information that came from the client's CRM, Salesforce. We created the videos in Synthesia. We wrote the script. It had the variable data fields. We tested different kinds of avatars. You basically choose an avatar. Not talking about the one with me, but the other one you saw, the client one. You choose an avatar person, and then you have voices, and you have to match the voices to those. It could be the client, a recording of the client as well. And then you have to host the video somewhere. So it's interfacing with YouTube and Vimeo, and we hit some size and export limitations. Again, to navigate those things. Then we had to create a spreadsheet with all the video URLs. And then we have to bring that into the email system, Constant Contact or MailChimp. And then we have to map each of those to the email so it shows up saying, dear Janet, check out your personalized video. And then that has to link to the correct Vimeo or YouTube. So we did this. It's possible to do these kinds of things. And this is kind of an example of a workflow to automate a process. So here's a way to kind of pull several of these technologies together. And this was not done. This is a proposal. Yes, Jenna, we will be sharing all the slides. So for Job Train's recruitment, I did interviews with them, and it looked like they have about 20 different steps that the prospect would go through in order even to enroll. And this one caught my attention, the info session, because that was very staff intensive. They have an info session. It's a webinar. The staff run it, but it's limited to 70 people. So it's limited to the potential students because they have to show up at a certain time and date, and they have a capacity, and the staff have to run it. So I said, how can we create some type of workflow throughout this whole and streamline this? So this is all proposed, by the way. This is not done implemented. This is just proposed. But we said, what if we had targeted ads to drive traffic to a teaser video? So it could be very specific, looking for a career in culinary arts or looking to get into the medical profession, or it could just be a general one. Hey, looking for a new step in your career. We run those, and then we would say, here's a little create teaser video ads on that field. So construction, so it'd be a 30-second or 1-minute teaser saying, hey, you get free training in construction, and you can get your certificate or whatever it would be to get you to the next level, and pitch to go to a virtual session, basically taking the webinar and putting it online, and they would have to register. So we'd capture their email address, and then they could watch the webinar at any time. So it frees up the staff time. Then we can send them back a customized welcome video that has their name in it. Thanks, John, for your interest in construction. Thanks, Janet, for your interest in the culinary arts program, and tell more about it. Answer questions, provide encouragement to enroll, provide case studies, whatever it can say. We could send out a whole customized email series that could nurture them as potential prospects. We can provide links to a personalized assistant that they can ask questions to and could provide more encouragement to them. Again, freeing staff time in all this area. Of course, someone can meet with staff if they would like to, but ultimately leading to enrollment in the program. So we changed that whole 20 steps automation. Not totally. There are other things that the students would have to do in terms of filing their documents and things like that. But we freed up so much of the staff back and forth and allowed more autonomy for the prospect, for the student, to kind of go at their own pace, to get their questions answered, and to get validation and so forth without relying on the staff. So that's a potential way to kind of pull various tools together into a workflow to really change the whole operation and the experience, not only internally of freeing staff time, but also from the perspective of the student, who will have less, have more autonomy and get their questions answered in their time. So here's the question to you is, how can you use AI to power your mission, right? And these are the questions you can be asking. How's the problem that we're addressing limited by our current staff or capacity or infrastructure? How would we approach a problem if those limitations didn't exist? How can we reimagine our mission if we were to tap into the full potential for data analysis, generative AI, creating things for app creation, video chatbots, AI agents, all those things? From the client or the participant or the student or the donor experience, how could you create more customized experiences for those audiences? How could you attract, engage, mobilize more people to your cause? So from the fundraising side, and activate people, given those tools. And how can you improve your staff's effectiveness, as well as their connection and their happiness and their retention? A lot of organizations struggle with that by automating a lot of the lower level tasks, or like that educational organization that created the chatbot to answer all the FAQ stuff that people were just bombarding them with, and free up their email by 80% or whatever it was, so they could focus on the people who really need attention, but not the common types of questions. So what are some ways that AI, so I was going to ask you this, if you wanted to if you're getting ideas from this, if you're rethinking, either, I'm curious to hear, probably other participants curious to kind of share some of your thoughts at this point. And in the meantime, I'll look at the question here. Jessica asked, is there an industry standard for AI certification, like project management? I don't think there's a standard. There are different programs. I'm going to offer you to look at n10.org is a good organization to check out. Partnership on AI. I'll put some of these in here. They're in the, well, I'll put them in. There are resources in the at the end of this as well. Partnership for AI is another good venue to look at to get you started. It's changing so fast. So I've taken so many different courses, but I don't know what certification really would mean. There are lots of programs, but things just are changing so rapidly that the tools that even last year were good are being replaced by other tools. It is a full-time job to kind of keep track of things. I was going to ask if others had. I have some resources at the end here. I'm going to share. I'm curious if anyone wanted to share where they learn about AI. So I take some courses. I'm in different groups. I'm in an AI marketers guild. I watch videos all the time. I learn from peers. I do lots of demos. And so forth. Let's see, Rona's asking, have you done anything in using AI for brand management, checking AI accurately reflects organizations' work? Yes, you certainly can do that. You can ask AI. I found it useful to ask ChatGPT to help in that. So for JobTrain, we created, we uploaded documents into ChatGPT, some the annual reports, newsletters, strategic documents, and so forth, the brand guidelines and messaging guidelines. So we have a structure for how we would like things to come out and the responses. It knows the mission and the values and those kinds of things, and so you're able to do that. Chat's not the only one. Jasper is very good at it. There's a lot. They're evolving now. A lot of them are evolving now to be able to build those kinds of things and the parameters around that. Matthew, thanks for sharing. Okay. All right, so there are some reports here that were referenced earlier in terms of AI adoption, and there are some toolkits here that can be useful for you. So you'll get this presentation, and we'll open up to conversation. So fundraising AI is a community. We're here to help guide you. We're largely a fundraising agency, but we do all these things. We're learning as we go, and we'd love, willing pilot projects on things. So if anyone wants to explore something, we'd be glad to, explore with you. And we're friendly, easy to talk to with no obligation. Not trying to sell you anything, but we just love talking with nonprofits. We're here to support you. So. And Charity Engine, check them out. They gave their presentation at the beginning. Thank you for hosting. And I'll leave you with a couple of next steps. I have an AI newsletter on LinkedIn that you can sign up for. These have links, so you'll get that. If you want to talk, I'll be glad to chat with you. Again, I'm not trying to sell anything. Just feel free to chat, ask questions, whatever it would be, get some feedback on your marketing. If you want to learn more about the personalized videos of the auto story, there's some links in there. And we're also launching a fundraising letter assessment. We're about to launch it, and because we haven't yet, I'm looking for 10 people that I will run this for free before we start charging the $99. So you'll get a free assessment of your fundraising letter based on 19 behavioral principles, and it gives very specific feedback on what you did well and what needs to what you could improve. And if you email me, I will be glad to run that for you for free. And I just wanted to get your take on it, so you can give me feedback. And yes, the links are in the presentation that will be mailed after the webinar. And I guess I will let Charity Navigator speak to their, they have a free nonprofit revenue assessment. If you want to jump in here, you can do that as well.
Yes, I am back. Thank you so much. We too, as I mentioned,
I'm not getting your audio very well, Julie.
are you not?
Oh, now it is.
Okay. Um, this is really similar to what Howard was saying. This is simply an assessment that we offer for free. We had said 5 spots, but they were taken. So I see we've offered a couple more spots. 2 more spots are available. And this is just a look at how are you automating your tasks? How can you use AI to optimize your donation page and things like that? Where might revenue be leaking that you could quickly shore up and get a little bit more revenue, and where your donor experience might have a little bit of friction. So we are very happy to offer this to you. I think Neha's going to put it back in the chat. Very, very happy to offer this to you. It's 15 minutes. It's an expert assessment, and people love it. You walk away with a physical assessment, so you know exactly what to fix. And that's about it. Can we get to questions? I know some have come through in the chat. I had another that I saw, Howard. Do you have any suggestions on an AI policy and procedure strategy for nonprofits?
I'd say look at those resources that I sent and form a committee is the first thing. You need to get internal wherewithal within the organization. So there's an interesting framework that I learned a while ago. It's called the KAI index. It's kind of like a newer kind of personality assessment that basically looks at, it says there's a continuum from adapters who are slow to change based on precedent. They say they're more status quo oriented. They say things like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. This is the way we've always done things before. If they want to make a change, like do it incrementally. And then on the other side is the innovators that want to just throw everything out and start again, challenge every assumption just because we've done it this way. Actually, that's the reason not to do it that way. So organizations are somewhere on this line. So knowing where your organization is and knowing where you are, or the champion in the organization who's leading that AI initiative, is going to be important for understanding the gap between how fast you can go and what the organization is going to need. So if you're more on the adapter, the innovator side, and want to go forward, that's going to indicate one approach. And if you're more on the adapter side, then you're going to have to get more buy-in. You're going to have to probably show more evidence, demonstrate, smaller projects that demonstrate success rather than thinking about the, changing, the revamping the mission with AI. So that's just like a mental framework for understanding how to even approach AI and what resources you'd need to go and where you'd need to marshal your own efforts.
Okay, let me actually ask you a question that I have hearing that. If I'm going to connect my personal or my work account to any type of AI tool, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, any of those, what kind of security concerns should I have? I mean, if I have a paid account, can I trust them to keep my data safe? Do I never put donor data into an AI agent like that? What are your thoughts on security when we're bringing AI into sort of our work life?
It's best not to put any personal information into AI. If you can build your own AI, that, if organizations build if they're going to do things, they really need to be building, their own AI model to work with. But we work with
Okay, but
anything that's publicly available.
That's easier said than done.
It is, yeah. But I think, like, to me, a lot of stuff is already publicly available. So I'm a little more liberal, I think, than probably nonprofits. We're more on the adapter side. It's like,
Right.
so to me, I was more trepidatious at first. I'm like, what, things are out there anyway. Any publicly, if you're in a report, your things like that, all the kind of your website, all that kind of stuff is out there. So certainly kind of fueling that. Your donor information. We did run those through. We took the names and the donation, like the first name and the donation amount, and to create those videos. I don't think that's a security risk because it's not. That's not telling. John gave $500. That's not saying anything. It's not really connected. The email is in a separate. Is through those different systems. So the email was in their email system. They have that anyway. So you're able to do a certain amount without actually, like, revealing, putting any specifically, PIA information into there.
Okay, what if a nonprofit was going to, for example, and I know we're almost at time, so this can be the last question. If a nonprofit was going to use AI to, for example, help craft fundraising letters or personalized fundraising outreach, what are some easy ways for it to not sound like AI? Like, are there tells that you would recommend people avoid, or is there a prompt? Is there something you could add to your prompt, that would maybe make it sound a little bit more personal and human?
Yeah, that's a big concern. The best way is not to use it directly for writing, but to use it first for exploring. I always think as like as a kind of a coach rather than a slave. Slaves just say, do this, write the letter, and then, sorry if that was politically incorrect metaphor, but, whereas a colleague, you're bantering back and forth. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So we always start with like a premise. So like, we don't know what the premise is. What do we know about our donors? You want to like explore that. What do we know about the sector that's going on right now? What do we know about the issues that are going on right now? So a fundraising letter, for example, always starts with the donor in mind. What are they experiencing, right now? And particularly in their personal life, but also in terms of their particular issue and what's going on, in the world related. So starting with that and asking AI to help you explore, those dynamics, you're already going to be a step ahead because you're going to be approaching it from the donor perspective. Then you could explore, potential messages and ask it pros and cons of different messages and, go back and forth. It's funny, there was just a piece in the Harvard Business Review did a study that said that we think that these are very intelligent and they tell us something. It sounds really smart, but they did all these tests on these business cases and they found that the sequence that you ask something influences how the LLMs respond to you. So if you say, like, what do you think about these three ideas? It's going to tell you the first idea is the better idea. It says in most
Really?
cases, it's going to weight that. So knowing that, it influences how you kind of approach that in a more agnostic way rather than accepting like what it's writing for you. So to answer your question in this kind of roundabout way is like, don't think of it as like a writing tool. Think about it as a partner to get you to an idea that is worth writing about, and then you can write it, or you can then prompt it to write it, and then use it to prompt it back and forth to get better output. But if you fuel it
That's
with
great.
some good like if you like best examples, you could always put in like, here's 10 examples of good writing that was written by a human that has the emotion and the anecdotes and all those kinds of things, and then say, analyze these instead of just saying write like this. Ask it to analyze those and say what makes these successful. So now it's prompting itself to say, oh, I see that there's an interesting hook. I see that there's emotional resonance here. I see there's a story of transformation. I see the language is, written easily, as a third grade, fifth grader could read it, whatever those things are. So now it's telling itself. So now you're having instructions for it to write more like that rather than it just coming up with whatever that AI style writing.
Actually, I think that's really very helpful advice. I'm glad that you walked through that. I think that's fantastic for anybody who's going to, lean on AI tools to do any sort of writing. That's very, very good advice. And I think if we don't have any more questions, we are at time. Howard, thank you so very much for coming and talking to our audience. It was fascinating. I love the avatars. I love the interactive videos, and I just really appreciate your time today.
You're very welcome. Glad to share.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks all.